ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थितदद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste. युञ्जन्नेवं सदात्मानं योगी विगतकल्मषः सुखेन ब्रह्म संस्पर्शम् अत्यन्तं सुखमश्नुते. So we are seeing the 28th sloka of the 6th chapter. And Lord Krishna is talking about the benefits of Vedantic meditation in these verses. And what is Vedantic meditation? Vedantic meditation is dwelling upon Vedantic teaching, which I have received from the Guru. And by dwelling upon the Vedantic teaching, the teaching gets thoroughly assimilated into my personality. And the indication of this assimilation of this teaching is I do not forget this teaching even at the time of worldly transactions. When the teaching is not assimilated, what will happen? It will be available for me only at the time of Shravanam. Once the class is over, we have chanted Purnamadav Purnamidam, the teaching also disappears. And my old personality comes back. This is the indication of unassimilated teaching. It is not that I do not have jnanam. I have jnanam. I can clearly present the jnanam to others also. In fact, I can become a teacher. Being a Shrotriya, I can teach others. But the jnanam does not help me during day-to-day transactions, especially during the times when I face some crisis or problem in my life. That is what Krishna is trying to emphasize in these slokas. That let the teaching not be merely at the intellectual level. Let it percolate down to you being aware of the teaching in every moment of your life. Because that is what is going to help you. Just intellectual knowledge is not going to help you at all. And what is the essence of this teaching? There are at three levels. First is Atma is different from body. Deha vilakshana. Atma is Deha antaryami, which is the innermost resident of our body. And Atma is Sarvadeha Adhara. It is the same Atma which is present in all bodies also. And this vision, not only I should assimilate, I should never forget this, even when the worst tragedy strikes in my life. If I have to remember this during difficult moments, it is possible only under one condition. I have to remember it when there are no problems, isn't it? Only when you are used to remembering it, you will remember it in difficult times also. And therefore, we are not merely interested in this knowledge, because a knowledge which does not help me in day-to-day life is a useless knowledge. So it is not enough that I receive the teaching. I should be able to assimilate it. And the only way of assimilation is spending sufficient quality time in contemplation, in meditation, in nididhyasanam. Unless you are willing to spend time on this teaching, there is no way of assimilation. It is just like, when they construct a wall, and then put this plaster and all that, cement plaster on the wall. Have you observed what they do? They would have probably constructed the wall within 1 or 2 days. But then they will pour water on that plaster. For 3, 4 days, even for 1 week, they will go on pouring water. That is called curing. That will make the wall well set. The more water is poured and gets absorbed in the wall or roofing, even for roofs they do it, more well set it is. And therefore the question is, am I willing to give time for Vedanta? Am I willing to give time for Nididhyasana? And this giving time is what is called Nididhyasana. And the benefit is what? Benefit of giving time is my personality gets cured. The teaching sinks in. And that teaching gets reflected, gets indicated in and through all my transactions. I do not forget that teaching at all. And this is the only way. And then only the full benefit of this jnanam, this knowledge, can be harvested. And that is what Krishna said in verse 27. That supreme Ananda comes to this yogi who is free from impurities, whose agitations have subsided, Shanta Rajasam, he said, whose mind is totally tranquil, who has become Brahman. Prashanta Manasam Brahma Bhutam Uttamam Sukham Upaiti, he said. Brahma Bhutam we saw means instead of identifying with Anatma, the body, mind, sense complex, this yogi has learned to own up the Atma Swarupam. And the same idea Krishna presents in a different way in this sloka under discussion. Here in this 28th sloka, he says, the purified yogi, by constantly engaging the mind in meditation or nididhyasana, effortlessly attains limitless ananda, which belongs to Brahman. And in this context, we were discussing that meditation itself does not give shanti. Meditation only helps in removing the obstacles impeding the direct flow of shanti as a result of jnana. So this endless happiness, ananda, what is the source of that? The source of endless ananda is Brahma Jnana. Brahma Jnanam is the source for the limitless ananda which a jnani enjoys. It is not meditation. Meditation only removes the obstacles, if there are any, in the flow of ananda. And also we must understand that this journey to limitless ananda does not happen overnight. Like yesterday, I was an emotionally tormented Angyani, and I sat under a tree or something, and suddenly I became a Jnani, enjoying limitless Ananda. No, it doesn't happen like that. It is a gradual process. Previously, a situation produced too much of Ashanti. But now I observe that in the same situation, the Ashanti is comparatively less. It is not that there is no Ashanti, but its intensity has come down. Remember FIR, frequency, intensity, and recovery period. Whenever there is Ashanti, if the frequency of Ashanti has come down, you are making progress. Intensity of Ashanti has come down, you are making progress. If your recovery period from Ashanti has gone up, you are making progress. Now, in the same situation, Ashanti you find has become comparatively less. So, the Jnanam producing Shanti is also a slow, gradual transformation. Everything in nature takes its own time. Vedanta is also like that. Initially, you have to initiate the flow, and thereafter, you will find that Vedanta starts gelling, and you do see that Shanti seems to gradually increase. And therefore, he says in this sloka, Atyantam Sukham Ashnute. And who attains this Sukham? Yogi. Yogi means the Vedantic meditator, the one who gives quality time to change his ways of thinking. He is called a yogi. And how does he bring out this transformation? He says, Evam Atmanam Sada Yunjan. It is like physiotherapy. In physiotherapy, you have to repeatedly do the exercises for the hand or leg to function. You have to do exercising. And after repeated exercising, the limbs will first slowly start functioning, and then they will become to normal situation. Similarly, this is a psychotherapy like thing. It's a time consuming process. In fact, more time consuming than physiotherapy, because mind is a very subtle instrument. Limbs are outside. You can make them work by exercising. But we are dealing with a subtle body here. Therefore, the process has to be handled very carefully. give it enough time to produce the results. And therefore he says, Evam, in this manner, as said before, Atmanam Yunjan. Here Atma means the mind, not Sachidananda Atma. Yunjan means regulating, reorienting, transforming the thought process. Of course, all this in the light of Vedantic knowledge gained through Sravanam and Manana. If you do that, what will happen? Krishna says, Vigata Kalmashaha. This yogi is gradually free from his unhealthy habits of thinking. These unhealthy habits are called what? Viparita Bhavana or Viparyaya. So all these Viparita Bhavanas will get gradually erased. Everything like anger, jealousy, they're all Viparita Bhavanas. Frustration is a Viparita Bhavana. There are so great experts that it doesn't take much effort for us to get frustrated. In fact, no effort is required because we are all very well established. We are frustration nishta. So after Shravanam, what is the purpose of Mananam? Samshaya Rahita Jnanam. What is the purpose of Nididhyasanam? Viparyaya Rahita Jnanam. Jnana Nishta, I would put it. So we have to remove this Viparya, Viparita Bhavana. Viparita Bhavana means what? My earlier way of thinking about everything in life, which are not in tune with Vedanta teaching. That has to be dealt with. Therefore, Vigata Kalmashaha. Kalmashaha here means Viparita Bhavana, habitual negative thinking, unhealthy habits of thinking. Vigata means they gradually go away. So, Vigata Kalmasha Atmanam Evan Yunjan. And then he says Sada. Sada means always, every moment, regular alertness, constant alertness. Plus, whenever there is some serious worry is there, paying particular attention. So as we have seen, one of the purposes of Nididhyasanam is to deal with all issues from the past which are buried in the subconscious and which surface when we free the mind from active thoughts while preparing for meditation. This we have seen. And these disturbing issues can be of various grades, from simple to complex, from easy to deal with to very difficult to deal with. There is no one solution for all of them. Each one of them requires special attention. There could be certain mild issues, in which case you have to be alert in your day-to-day transactions. And being alert in day-to-day transactions is what is Nididhyasana. So some minor issues may be there, they surface. You say, okay, now that I have passed through all those stages, let me bury this. Let me remove these issues from my life. I'm no longer going to be disturbed or worried about this. Possible. But then there are certain issues for which general alertness is not sufficient. It is like, for example, For certain ailments, a visit to the doctor or clinic or an even outpatient department of a hospital would be sufficient. But certain serious issues, you may have to get admitted, you may have to get surgery done. Therefore, such serious issues have to be addressed in the light of Vedanta. You have to ask the question, can I change the situation or is it choiceless? I mean, in some families, these things happen. I know a family, there are 4 brothers. Mother was not there, father was there. And the 4 brothers were like, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna. So close. In fact, we used to wonder, how can these 4 brothers be so close, so loving, so caring for each other? Really, we were surprised. I mean, we have never ever seen a family where 4 brothers, all of them grown up, all of them working, have their own life, but still very closely knit family. Then what happened? One brother got married. Nothing happened. Second brother got married. Nothing happened. Then the third brother was not getting married for a long time. Then finally his marriage was settled on the condition, because these people had a sister also, that the brother will marry the girl and the girl's brother will marry this sister. So it's a exchange marriage. That also happened, and then the problem started. The 4 people broke up, won't talk to each other. Almost they become like enemies for each other. So when such a thing happens, and it goes on for years, even today, I'm talking about 30 years, 35 years ago, what happened. Even today, they are not on talking terms. So when such things happens in families, there is always, the subconscious mind. See, I am alone, there is nobody for me, kind of a thing. All my brothers have gone away, they have deserted me. Such questions can come up. All those, good days that you enjoyed and then experience the other the opposite. It can haunt people for long time. So whenever that happens, the question is, can I change the situation or is it choiceless? If you can change, better work on changing it rather than working on worrying. And if you cannot change at all, recall Bhagavad Gita teaching. What cannot be cured has to be endured. Once I know the situation cannot be changed, I will need to start working on my mind to toughen it. I will have to make my mind more tough. The tougher it gets, the lesser will be the impact of choiceless situation. And what do I mean by tougher? What I mean is, make your mind less and less emotionally dependent on such relationships. Learn to reorient the mind to withstand such situations which cannot be changed. And meditation is useful for this purpose. So sada means regular alertness plus particular attention for serious situations, serious worries. And if this is done, this yogi attains what? Atyantam sukham ashnute. If you say, okay, it is all very easy for you to say these things in the class, but it's very difficult. I will say, yes, I will agree with you 100%. It is difficult. But I will add, all such efforts appear difficult in the beginning. What happens, many students, they don't, when they are given a choice of subjects, not many students go for mathematics as a subject. They say it is very difficult. But you ask students who score 100 out of 100 in mathematics, they will say it is very easy. So everything in life appears difficult in the beginning. Take yoga. You make up your mind, okay, from tomorrow I am going to do yoga for 1 hour. Is it possible to do? From the next day when you have not done yoga at all? Impossible. You try 10 minutes, you will become tired. So it will be difficult. But if one takes the initiative, applies consistent efforts, and with perseverance, it becomes easy. Another example, which I am finding it many youngsters these days, they've never sat on the floor right from their childhood, eating and dining table and things like that and all. Sandhyavandanam question doesn't arise. Today, all this Upanayanam ceremony and all is a social function. They will do Sandhya Vandanam only on that particular day because the priest is there. He will teach. From next day onwards, even the father cannot teach because he himself doesn't know Sandhya Vandanam. What he will teach. So there is no practice of sitting on the floor. And if you are asked to, then marriage happens and the priest will say, sit down on the floor. Sitting is very difficult. Sitting on the floor and getting up itself will be a big project for them. But if you are able to bear the discomfort in the initial period, if you constantly practice, then it becomes easy and effortless. So everything takes time. You have to give time. So he says, Sukhena, Anayasena, easily, effortlessly. We grow in Vedanta and we see the result also. So Atyantam Sukham Ashnute. Atyantam Sukham Sukhena Anayasena Ashnute. And this Ananda comes not from the external world. The Tatyantam Sukham, this limitless Ananda doesn't come from the external world. It comes from Brahma Samsparsham, which is born out of my association with Brahman, my owning up of Brahman. Mundakopanishad says, Brahma Veda, Brahma eva bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. Brahman means Atman. Atman means my higher nature. So this Ananda is born out of my owning up my higher nature. Literally, samsparsham means contact with Brahman, meaning recognition of the self as Brahman. So here, the word samsparsham, we must understand, is a figurative word. You should not say samsparsham in going and touching Brahman. No. It is born out of owning up my Swarupam. That Ananda flows out of owning my Swarupam, and that Ananda he enjoys. Now a question. Since this Jnani has got this ever-flowing Ananda, does it mean that he should not enjoy the Ananda of the world, the Vishayananda, the experiential happiness? Shastra says no. Shastra says the Jnani can very well enjoy Vishayananda as long as it is dharmic. It is not that the Jnani should not see or hear a beautiful music program or a dance program. Because as he is enjoying Swarupananda, Brahmananda, he should not enjoy Vishayananda. It is not like that. A jnani has got sense organs. There are so many legitimate Vishayas which the sense organs will get contact and happiness will flow because of that contact. A jnani goes to a garden and sees a beautiful flower. He will become certainly happy seeing that beautiful flower. He will appreciate the nature, the beauty of nature, the variety in nature. Oh, I am a jnani, I am not supposed to do Vishayananda, have experiential happiness. I am not supposed to experience, so I will close my eyes. Jnani will not do that. He is not foolish enough to do that. And that is perfectly all right. He's enjoying Vishayananda or experiential happiness is perfectly okay. Jnani can bask in Vishayananda. But a jnani has got one advantage, which we all don't have. We ajnanis don't have. Having this Brahmananda or Atmananda, Swarupananda, is like having what? A generator inside. So as long as the Vishayananda flows, as long as the municipal power supply is there, you use it. But when there is no power supply or there is a power cut or disruption in the supply, Jnani can switch on his generator. In fact, he need not even switch it on. It is like we have got the uninterrupted power supply generators in big complexes. When there is disruption in external power supply, the UPS generator, the backup generator will automatically switch on itself. Similarly, when Vishayananda is there, certainly Jnani is going to appreciate the beauty and enjoy. But when it goes away, he is not worried. Because he knows when the electricity goes away, he will get automatically connected to Brahmananda. So, Atyantam Sukham Ashnute. And this is what is called Jivan Mukti. So, to sum up in this sloka, Krishna wants to highlight that you can draw from this knowledge only if you have invested sufficient time in Nididhyasana. So what you invest alone, you can draw. If during a crisis you want to draw from this knowledge, when you do not have a crisis, you have to invest in the form of Nididhyasana. Every moment of the day, you must recall this knowledge. Then the mind becomes saturated with this knowledge. Then during crisis, you need not desperately look for a solution. This knowledge will spontaneously come to guide you. Therefore, Nididhyasanam is giving solid time for Vedanta. The more you give, the more you are investing. The more you are investing, the more you can harvest. It's a very simple economic law. And this yogi who has done that, and therefore, in the next sloka, Krishna says, Sarvabhutastamatmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. Anvaya of this sloka is Yoga Yuktatma Ikshate Atmanam Sarvabhutastam Cha Sarvabhutani Atmani Samadarshanaha. Samadarshana sarvatra is there, correct? Ikshate sarvabhutatma sarvabhutani chatmani, correct? Yoga yuktatma, one whose mind is disciplined through meditation. Ikshate, perceives, sees. Atmanam, the Atma. Sarva bhutastam, in all beings. Cha sarva bhutani, and all beings. Atmani, in the Atma. Samadarshana, he has the same vision. Sarvatra, everywhere. So one whose mind is disciplined through meditation perceives the Atma in all beings and all beings in Atma. He has the same vision everywhere. So now here Krishna gives a name, a title to the Jnani. Yoga Yuktatma, he says. So again here Yoga Yuktatma, Atma means the mind. So a Jnani is one whose mind is Yukta. Yukta means disciplined, saturated with this knowledge. So with whatever field of knowledge the mind is saturated with, the mind will naturally think of that. Isn't it? If you are a musician dedicated to music, wherever you go, your mind will think of music only. In fact, sometimes you may be humming various ragas, various swaras you will be practicing in the mind. In Manodharmam, can I present this swara like this? Always thinking of music. Even when a baby cries, you will hear only music in that cry. In fact, when it cries, if you are so involved in music, you may even identify the swaras. Oh, this is this raga it is crying in, this raga it is crying in. And if you are a Newton, for a scientist like Newton, sitting under a tree and an apple falls, what will you do? Newton didn't pick up the apple and say, oh, wonderful, God, thank you very much. I was feeling angry, and start eating it and enjoy the taste. We would have perhaps done that. But the scientific mind immediately started questioning, why did the apple fall down? Why did it not go up? So only a scientist who is interested in the laws of the universe, even in the fall of an apple, he tries to think of an universal law. If you are a Vedanting, you will think Vedantically. Therefore, Yuktaha means saturated with self-knowledge. Because of what? Yogena. Because of the consistent practice of Nididhyasanam. By giving quality time to the thought of Vedanta, to the teaching of Vedanta. So yoga means here, yoga yuktatma means yoga means nididhyasanam, yukta means saturation, atma means the mind. So yoga yukta atma means the one whose mind has reached Vedantic saturation through Vedantic meditation. He is a jnana nishtha. And such a person, sarvatra samadarshana, because he is used to dwelling upon Atma all the time, even when he interacts with people, he does not lose sight of Atma in everyone, which is the essential nature of everyone. And therefore, Sarvatra means in every human being, he sees the common feature. Like the thread in and through all the beads in a mala, in a garland, the invisible thread, which keeps the entire beach together as a garland. Like that, in all human beings, there is an inherent Chaitanya, the life principle, the consciousness principle, which is inherent in all. Ikshate, he says. So, sarvatra samadarshana hai ikshate. The word ikshate literally means sees. But here we should not imagine that he sees, the Atma in everyone. So ikshate, we should put it, he sees it within inverted commas, quotes. Not physically. What it means is he appreciates, is aware of. Therefore, sarvatra samadarshanaha, sarvatra atma darshanaha ikshate. But it does not mean that he does not see the differences. Certainly, he sees the physical differences. Certainly, he sees the intellectual and emotional differences. But in and through all the differences, he does not lose sight of the oneness of Atma. Like a goldsmith. Just as in and through all the ornaments, the goldsmith sees what? Sarvatra Swarna Darshanam. Which is what is Sarvatra Samadarshanam. When you suppose you want to sell some ornament, there is a bangle, there is a necklace, there is let's say ring. So many things are there. You want to go and take the whole thing to the goldsmith. What will he do? He will first check every piece to see whether it is gold. Because he sees only gold. He will buy only gold. And then the shape and things and all, they don't matter to him much. He will give you an estimate based upon the total quantity. He will weigh everything. This much gold is there. This much gold, when I actually, what that, sometimes some words don't come. He will
This melt,
sorry?
melt.
Melt, correct, melt. If I melt all this, there will be some little amount of gold loss. So that also he will calculate. And then he will tell you, you will get so much money for the gold content of this art. Samadarshanam, Sarvatra, this fellow will see only Sarvatra Swarna Darshanam. You cannot say, oh, this ornament is very beautiful. This necklace, see the design and also give me extra money for design. He will not give anything. Not a paisa he will give. So even when you see the bangle, when you see the chain, you know that the bangle is different from the chain. Chain is different from the ring. But all you see, or all that jeweler sees, is one gold inherent in all the ornaments. That is why even us also we do that, because whatever ornament it is, we preserve everything carefully, isn't it? Just because a necklace is very beautiful, it has got a very good design, we don't preserve the necklace specially, and then all other things. Oh, ring is I can put it anywhere. We don't do that. Where we know everything is gold and gold is very valuable and we preserve everything. Why? Because they are gold, not because they are ring or stick. So we also have got that Sarvatras gold darshanam only. Therefore, this gold darshanam is samadarshanam, in and through all differences at the name and form level. That is the vision. Sarva bhutastam atmanam. He sees the Atma as residing in every living being. Just as a person appreciates the space as present in every room, in every hall, in every pot, in every cup, the space within and the space without. Similarly, this Jnani understands, appreciates that Atma is within everyone, and that is Sarva Antaryamitva Darshanam. Atma is the inherent content of every living being. So he says, Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. Ikshate, you can add. So this is the reverse vision. What is reverse vision? Instead of saying that space is within the hall, you start saying all the halls are not only halls, all the halls, all the planets, all the galaxies, they are all in one space. Similarly, not only Atma is in the body, all bodies are in Atma. Sarva Bhutani. Bhutam here means body or Shariram. Sarva Bhutani, all the bodies, Atmani, in the Atma he sees. And he is aware that the Atma is imperishable, but the bodies are perishable. Anatma is perishable. And when he is looking for security in life, which we all need, because we require certainly security, entertainment. All these are available in Anatma. So Anatma is not a waste. This Jnani is not going to dismiss Anatma as useless. There is a value for Anatma. Therefore, when you want to enjoy variety, when you want to appreciate the beauty of nature, make use of Anatma. And when the Anatma or the perishable things of the world are disappearing, and when you are looking for something permanent, then don't rely on Anatma. Because that is the mistake we all commit. We are looking for security from Anatma, where Anatma cannot give security. Because it itself is perishable, it itself does not have any security. What it can give us? A Jnani never commits that mistake. He knows that when security is needed, hold on to Atma. When Ananda is needed, hold on to Atma. When limitlessness is needed, hold on to Atma. Anything else that you want, change the channel to Anatma. So all of us have got only two channels, Atma channel and Anatma channel. Whenever you want Atma channel, things provided by Atma, switch to Atma channel. For everything else, switch to Anatma channel. No problem. So you should know how to shift the channel depending upon your need. And as I said, the greatest tragedy of human being is that he expects security from insecure things, insecure people, insecure relationships. And when he has wrong expectation, disappointment is the result. And that is why Krishna said in the second chapter, Nasato vidyate bhavah, na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubhayorapi drishtontah, tvanayos tattvadarshina. So a Jnani knows what to seek from where. If he is hungry, he will not go to Atma. He knows that if you are hungry, you have to do Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi only. Go to Anatma only. But when you want permanence, when you want immortality, he does not expect that at the body level. Because he knows body is mortal. He does not expect permanence in relationship level. Therefore, Sarva Bhutastam Atmani Ikshate, Ikshate means Pashyati, Sarva Bhutani Atmani cha Pashyati, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha Jnana Nishtha. And how does he get this benefit? Only by one method. giving time for Vedanta. Krishna continues. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyate tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyate. The Anvaya is aham na pranashyami tasya yaha mam pashyati sarvatra cha pashyati sarvam mayi sahachana pranashyati me. Aham na pranashyami. I am not lost. Tasya to him. Yahamam pashyati, who sees me. Sarvatra, everywhere. Cha pashyati sarvam, and sees everything. Mayi, in me. Saha cha, he also. Nacha pranashyati, is not lost. Me, to me. 1 second. Class is going on. I'll call you later. So what Krishna is saying, I am lost, I am not lost to him who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. He is also not lost to me. So here, Krishna takes goes to another aspect of the teaching. He gives a small note. He is just briefly referring to a topic which he will discuss only later elaborately. It is the topic of bhakti. Because till now, in and through these 6 chapters, Krishna has not dealt with the topic of bhakti. Only from the 7th chapter, he is going to discuss the topic of bhakti. But what Krishna wants to do, like a teaser, he wants to briefly refer to that here, and therefore he says that this appreciation of Atma everywhere is the greatest form of bhakti. We all talk about bhakti yoga and all, Krishna is introducing it here. What is bhakti? You understand. This appreciation of Atma everywhere, in and through everybody, and also knowing the fact that the Atma which is in everybody is the Atma in my body also, and that Atma is my real nature. And therefore, I am that Atma which is everywhere. This appreciation, this understanding is what is called bhakti. So what Krishna wants to say here is Sarvatra Atma Darshanam eva Sarvatra Ishvara Darshanam. Sarvatra Atma Darshanam is Sarvatra Ishvara Darshanam. And this is the highest form of bhakti. And therefore, the highest form of bhakti is possible only through self-knowledge. So any form of bhakti practiced before the self-knowledge is lower form of bhakti. In the lower form of bhakti, Lord is not everywhere. Lord is confined to a place with a particular form. This is Shiva temple. This is Vishnu temple. This is Rama temple. This is Krishna temple. The Lord is confined to a place with a particular form. And the Lord is subject to arrival and departure. He arrives, gives darshanam to the devotee, make the devotee excited, and then the very same Lord tests the devotee by disappearing and making the devotee cry. In Bhagavatam, the Gopika Gitam description is there, where Gopikas cry when the Lord Krishna leaves them. So the very idea that the Lord can arrive and depart indicates that I see the Lord as a finite entity subject to arrival and departure. Of course, such a form of bhakti is a wonderful form of bhakti, but it is wonderful in the initial stages as a stepping stone. But we must understand it is only an inferior form of bhakti called apara bhakti, dvaita bhakti, bheda bhakti. And after this apara bhakti, I have to gain self-knowledge, atma jnana. And through that, I begin to recognize atma everywhere. And Krishna says the all-pervading atma is really Bhagavan or Ishvara. A personal God is not real Bhagavan. It is only a Maya Manusha Vesha. Krishna himself will talk about it later in the 9th chapter. He says, people think I am a human being. Avajananti mam mooda hai, he says. Uses a very strong word. Avajananti mam mooda hai, manushim tanumashritam. They think I am a person with a particular form, not knowing param bhavam janantah mama bhuta maheshwaram. Not knowing my transcendental nature as the supreme lord of all. Bhuta maheshwaram. And what is the highest form of Lord? Atma Swarupam is the highest form of Lord. And therefore, Atma Darshanam is equal to Ishvara Darshanam. And therefore, Krishna says, Yahamam Pashyati Sarvatra. Yaha Pashyati means what? The very same Yani of the previous verse. In the previous verse, what did he say? He said the Jnani sees the Atma everywhere. And here, Krishna as Ishvara, as Bhagavan says, the Jnani sees the Lord, sees me, the Lord, everywhere. Mam Pashyati. So if you combine these two verses, what is the idea you get? Seeing Atma everywhere is seeing the Lord everywhere. And if Atma is Chaitanya Swarupam, God is also Chaitanya Swarupam. Not an inert body born to Devaki on a particular day, Janmashtami day. And then later on, after the fall of the body, going to Swarga, etc. That is not real Krishna. If you say, I love that Krishna, there is nothing wrong. But Vedanta says that Krishna is not the ultimate thing. Then what is the ultimate? Yahamam pashyati sarvatra. Yahamam pashyati sarvatra pashyati. Sarvatra here means sarva sharireshu. So Bhagavan is there in everybody as the very consciousness. So when you feel the sentiency of the body, you are in touch with God. Of course, I'm going through all these details, but he will say all these things himself later. Krishna will say, you need not close the eyes to see the Lord. Some people go and, when they are doing this arati, they will close the eyes. That is the time you should see. In fact, you are experiencing the Lord in the form of the very life principle in every living being. And not only this Jnani sees the Lord in everyone, he sees the reverse also. And what is that? He sees everyone in the Lord. He sees everyone means all the bodies in God. Vishwadharam Gagana Sadrisham. So the Lord is comparable to Gaganam Akasham. If the Lord is comparable to space, what is the form of God? It can be Krishna form, or it cannot be Krishna form, it cannot be Rama form, it cannot be Devi form. It should be formless because Akasha is formless. Therefore, the real all-pervading God is formless Atma only. We'll stop here and continue in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari
Thank
Om.
you, Guruji.
You.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaste, pranam.
Namaste, pranam. Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank
Namaskaram.
you.
Any question? No hands are going up.
Today's class, it doesn't ask, you cannot question, because you said you see everything and anything, anything and everything and everything and anything.
Yeah.
Oh, so no questions can be asked in this.
Yeah, you can't doubt what Krishna says, right? He will say more. Once the 6th chapter finishes, then we go to the next 6 chapters, which are more of a mananam kind of a thing. But that is what Bhagavad Gita normally, some acharyas, I mean, there are various ways of presenting. They say first 6 chapter is Shravanam, next 6 chapter is Mananam, last 6 chapter is Nididhyasa. That is how they interpret. Good.
Guruji,
Very nice.
Guruji, I have a little question in the sense, if someone has reached the stage of Nidhyasana meditation, for a beginner, of course, Sri Krishna has already described step by step how one should go about it. But is there any particular fashion or particular matter one should begin the Nididhyasanam with, or is it just the 3 aspects that what is the wrong identification, what you mentioned, one is our wrong identification, and that's because of the avidya. And then, so what is the avidya? So those are the 3 cardinal points to meditate upon, or is there anything else a beginner should start with, Guruji? That was my question.
First of all, a beginner should be convinced that what is being told is correct. I agree.
Yes, Guruji. I'm
accept.
saying after that.
Yeah, so once you accept that, then everything becomes easy. The problem comes, scriptures say all these things, but is it true? If you have the doubt in mind, you will never make any progress, right? So the moment any other thought comes, suppose you sit for a beginner sitting meditation, there is some thought coming, okay, which is not related to the Shravana, what you have understood, what you want to meditate upon, it is not related to that. So your mind should be alert to ask the question, initial stages I'm talking, is it related to what you want to do? No. Reject it. Don't spend time on it. Go to what you want to, what you are sitting here for. Okay? I mean, it's a very simple process.
Yeah.
Because even, in office and meetings and all that, we have an agenda. People gather together for a meeting. Now, suppose you are the chairman of the meeting and somebody else, one of the participants raises some issue which is not there in the agenda. What will be your reaction?
After dealing with the topic again, you come back to the agenda.
Later, yeah, man. We will
Same
thing. We will even tell him, no, that topic is not in today's agenda.
Yeah.
We will deal with it later. Let us focus on what our agenda is today and discuss that, right? Or you can even say you take it up under any other matter with the permission of the chair. There is always that clause in that agenda will be there. Suppose something is to be taken. So
Yes.
similarly, when you sit for meditation, imagine that you are sitting with a serious purpose. You are sitting, I'm going to meditate on my Swarupa. And if some thought is coming that, what is the cooking that is done, breakfast and all that, you tell yourself, well, not breakfast. Get lost. I'm going to Atma Swarupa. Nityoham, Niravadyoham is what I'm going to do. So don't,
Right.
enter. So these are small tips, one has to keep in mind. There is no mechanical process. This is process for everybody, it will be different. Everybody will have to address their own issues, their
Their
own,
own. Yeah.
their own way. They have to do it.
Pave their own way.
If you sit and initially it may be very difficult because the problem with our mind is whatever you try to throw out of the mind, it tends to come back with double force. Okay. So
Yes.
that you have to be careful. The mind is it will be very persistent. It is like a wild dog. Till you are able to overcome that, overpower that, it will behave wildly only. Mind is like that. So you have to overpower the mind. Tell the mind, no, this is not the time. I'm not going to feed you with all these anatma related stuff. Today, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever time you have fixed, only atma related. That's it. And
Right.
atma related from where? From all your teachings only. It will come. Whatever Krishna says, whatever Upanishad says, all the teaching has to come. So that
Yes.
is the way to go about it rather.
Yes, Guruji. I think this reminds me of a course that I attended some time ago. The course itself is called Silence Course. It is the 3 days residential course. So before going for the course, I was wondering what that we are going to do. But then, yeah, there the instructions were as you're saying right now. Silence is not just external. The course was to practice internal silence. So what do we do with the thoughts when the thoughts come? So just be an observer of the thought and see how useful it is. And then just drop them if they're not of use to you or anybody. And then don't have to stick to any thought, don't have to chase any thought. Just be an observer and keep dropping them and then enjoy the silence. Yes, Guruji, I think what you're saying now makes
That's
more
why
sense of that course.
in Ashtanga Yoga, when you start this pranayam and asana, even asanas, you know what they advise? Focus your mind on your breath.
Breath, yes.
Bring your mind to the tip of your nose and observe your breathing. You know why do they that? So that your mind is rid of all other thoughts other than this yoga you are doing.
Yes.
So that observing the breath itself is a very important step in pranayama.
Yes.
By observing the breath only, you can regulate them, right? Otherwise, our breath sometimes, shallow breathing, sometimes heavy breathing, sometimes deep breathing. All that keeps happening throughout the day. But when you're sitting
Yes.
for yoga, important, bring your mind to the tip of your nose. Attention, full attention on the tip of your nose. Similarly, Vedanta, full attention, bring it to the teaching. That's all. The process is everywhere, it's the same thing. I say, whether you are scientific research or wherever it is, process is the same. So that is it. Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om. Yes, Sulekha ji, what is your question?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
My question is regarding Nididhyasana and the process in which can we be in Shravanam and Mananam and at the same time also begin the process of Nididhyasana? Or is it, I know you have said already that it's not a step by step, and I appreciate that point. But as we are learning, as we are understanding, that point of self-awareness where we're not actually sitting in meditation, but that we are going about our business throughout the day, could that, with self-awareness, can that be considered the initial stages or steps towards assimilating this knowledge?
It can be considered only if you are you have no doubts about that knowledge. If you have crossed the Mananam stage and have a very clear conviction that what the Upanishads, Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita is telling about myself is true, I am totally convinced. All that now I have to do is cast away my past, my past behavior patterns, my past ways of thinking. I have to cast them away and then start living in the understanding of my real nature. If you have reached that stage, then that is Nitidhyasa. If you have still have got doubts about what you have got, you have learned, whether it is true or it is not true. Okay, I can understand I have got Atma with me, but how can it be that everybody has got the same Atma? Everybody is individual, different. So how can everybody, Krishna say, everybody has got the same Atma? And this is not a makeup. There are people who have got such wonderful doubts. You won't even believe it. They will come up with things. How can Krishna say such a thing? Krishna has already said. Okay, what is the answer to the question? How can Krishna say? He has said. You should say, you can ask why Krishna is saying, right? Or Krishna is wrong in saying. How can you ask a question? How can Krishna say such a thing? So all such people, the world is abound with so many agyanis. So you should be fully convinced. Before coming to Nididhyasanam, I have absolutely no doubt that this is what is the correct position, my position, the entire world's position in the entire cosmos, the entire universe. If you're convinced, then all the job, the 3/4 of the job is done. Then only 1/4 is this Nitidhyasanam, which is what you have to now practice that. Right? You have to practice that. When you go to, say, tennis coaching or any coaching, cricket coaching and all that, the coach will tell you that, suppose it is tennis, you say that if the opponent lobs the ball like this, you must use this backhand technique to return that ball. Okay. Now he will teach 1 or 2 times, you will practice it. And you will find that, till now you were struggling with that kind of a shot, but now it is easily coming. Right? So if you get convinced that I can use this shot whenever I face this situation, then you practice that shot. Right? Just because it will come once in a while, is not that you are not going to practice. Every session you will practice that shot for 15 minutes, 20 minutes with the coach. He will he will give you that opportunity to play that shot. So similarly, when you come to Nididhyasanam, after being convinced that this is the right thing, then you start practicing what you have learned. So that whatever obstacles are there, they are removed in living that knowledge. Our aim in life is not to get knowledge. Our aim in life is living that knowledge. That is what is moksha is all about. Moksha is about living that knowledge day-to-day basis, every moment of your life, in every relationship, in every interaction with everybody, living that knowledge. That is our goal. So we must go towards that goal, and that is what spiritual progress means. That only. Spiritual progress doesn't mean that today you have attended the class for 1 hour, so tomorrow you attend another class for 2 hours, or you go from one Acharya to another Acharya to the third Acharya. No, that's not making progress. Spiritual progress is you learn what you have to learn, you're convinced about that learning, and then you start or you do all those things which are necessary for you to live that knowledge. So, answer to your question is, if you are convinced and you start practicing, you may not even reach the stage of a jnani, right? You have only started practicing. You try to, I would call it, alter your behavior alter your responses to situation based upon this jnanam, that is the beginning of nididhyasana. Applying that knowledge to your day-to-day transactions. That is nididhyasana. Need not
Thank you,
necessarily
Guruji.
sitting in one place, closing eyes and all that. That also you can do. You can play some, like I played this, what is that, this, what that, all this
Slokas.
Shatkam, Nirvana Shatkam, Nirvana Dashakam, all that. Put it on in your tape recorder or anything. Close your eyes and listen to that. It is telling you what you are. So then keep observing, I am this, I am this, I am this. Is it not the latest thing in the West now? What you are doesn't matter. What you feel you are is matters, right? Everybody starts saying, what is that called? Wokisama. What is that called? Something like that, right? I am a man, but I feel like a woman, so treat me like a woman, kind of a thing. They are coming to that only. That is nididhyasana. If you are thinking you are a woman, you expect everybody others to treat you as a woman. So the Atma also, till now you are thinking your body, mind, sense complex. You say, no, I am not body, mind, sense complex. I am Atma. I am consciousness. Treat me like consciousness. Of course, you can't tell this to all others. Then they will say that this fellow has gone beyond that. But to yourself, you can say that. Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji. That is beautifully explained. And I appreciate not only your explanation, but all of the classes that you have been giving. And every satsang seems to have, it's not a question for me about being convinced. There's no question about being convinced. I am convinced. It is how to put it into practice, which is to be not mechanical about putting it into practice, not a step-by-step, paint by number, but to be aware and to understand the situations, like you had said, 2 channels, to be fully immersed in the channel that you're in and to abide in that channel. So I appreciate your explanations very much and your time. Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Arun Kumarji.
Namaste, Guruji. Namaste.
Namaste.
Shravanam, we can do in a group. Mananam also, can we do in a group, or we do the study on our own only independently? Because conviction, you can't borrow the conviction or clarity with others in discussion, or we have to, how to do? That's my question.
True. Because, see, so far as conviction is concerned, many times what happens is we may not be able to see all the angles of something. So if you are in a group, maybe somebody else sees that angle, but he may not see the angle with which you are seeing. So he will say, no, we can look at it at this way also. So if you have an open mind, you will say, yeah, correct. That is another way of looking at it, right? And from that, there is another doubt may come. So there cannot be any fast rule. I mean, what I can say, a set rule that it has to be individual or it has to be in a group and all. When you are in a Gurukula, when you are with so many other students, Mananam becomes much easier because everybody has learned, done the same Shravanam. Everybody has, got his own ideas about it. And so as a group, you all sit together, discuss it. And what point was made, is it true and things like that. So that process helps. But people like us who may not have the advantage, so one can do Mananam either with the Guru, because that is the purpose of having this satsang and all that. We are having about half an hour, 1 hour, whatever time it takes. We don't have any time limit for satsang. Class, there is Shravanam, there is a time limit. It will start at 6 and end at 7. But for Mananam, there is no time limit. Any kind of doubt can be raised here. So both ways it can work. Or if you come across a few people who are also into Vedanta study, sit with them and you can actually discuss all these things. So that is the way you can handle Manana. Yeah.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay, then I think we can close the session and meet next week. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Guruji.
Guruji.
Hari Om.
You.